what does it mean to submit? Submitting to husband in particular. I like the question because the word submission is a very popular word used with regard to marriage, but I also believe that it's a very misunderstood word. Let me lay the foundation by saying submission is not oppression. Submission is not oppression. Submission is not making the other person a doormat where you can just trample on them however, whenever. That's not what submission is. That is oppression. That's evil. That one is evil. It's not the submission that the Bible is talking about. Now, many marriages are failing because we have allowed popular culture to take the place of kingdom culture. God founded the marriage institution and He gave us a manual upon which it should run. Today, people want to, just do what they feel like, what's convenient. But if we follow the manual, we are going to experience what God says we will experience. No offense to the women, but I'm going to say this because it's more sensitive from that end. So we have a bunch of people now who are activists, a bunch of people who are, they say they're fighting for women. Truth is, there are many people truly fighting for women, but some are fighting against women. And I'm going to tell you that because when you have people who are sowing seeds of rebellion in women and wives and females and causing a gender war in the name of fighting for gender equality, then these ones are the real enemies of the women. They are the real enemies of the women. But when God said to the woman to submit, it didn't suggest that the woman was inferior. Submission is not a mark of inferiority. I like you to take that in. Submission is not a mark of inferiority. A woman who understands submission would see that her power is in it. So when God says submit, it doesn't mean you're inferior. And as a matter of fact, God didn't say every woman submit to every man you meet on the street. That's not scripture. He said submit yourself to your own husband. So this submission we're talking about here is in the parlance of family. Is in the family system. I was speaking to someone yesterday, and we're just chatting and talking about some of these things. And I said, do you have a boss where you work? And she said, yes. I said, are you inferior to him? She said, no. But do you have a problem submitting to his authority? She said, no. So you submit with him without a feeling of inferiority. That's what we fail to bring into the family system. That I can submit as a woman to my husband without the feeling of inferiority. There is a certain notion, popular notion, that submission is inferiority. So women are being programmed to rebel against submission because it is inferiority. The Bible didn't say submit to every man on the street, because I've seen men try to oppress women and say, who are you to speak when you're a woman? A man is here. Now, that part of our culture is evil. Oppressing a woman based on gender is ungodly. Some people have said, oh, a woman cannot preach, she cannot hold the microphone because Paul said women be silent in church. That's an error. That's not the interpretation. So when Paul talked about the women being silent in church, in that culture, one of the ways you showed respect was not to stand up publicly and challenge your husband or challenge, Now, so there was rebellion brewing in that place. People will be teaching, and some women who had read some things, who had studied some scriptures, had one or two revelations, they'll stand up and challenge, Now, but generally, culturally, women didn't do things like that because it will have ripple effects on many different levels. One, it will translate to rebellion. Two, it became a bad example for others. So Paul said, if you have a question to ask your husband, ask him at home. Not here. That's wrong behavior. So he was dealing with behavior much more than gender. let's come to submission. Ephesians 5. I would like to start from verse 21. The question borders on verse 22, but I'll start from verse 21. And that's the verse we don't always like to, or we don't remember to look at. Verse 21 says, submitting yourselves one to another in the fear of God. Before there is an emphasis in verse 22 about a woman to submit, there is an instruction for them to submit one to another. What's the importance of submission number 1 in verse 21? And what's the importance of submission number 2 in verse 22? Submission in verse 21 that says submit yourselves one to another refers to mutual accountability. The fact that you're the man does not mean you become the lion of the tribe of your house. You can't be questioned and you can't act. No, you have to be accountable. You have to be accountable. You can't pack a bag and just leave, and your wife says, honey, where are you going to? And you say, well, whenever you see me, you see me. Say, my friend, don't be asking me silly questions. All that matters to you is that I buy food in this house. When you see me, you see me. Those are the kinds of people in this church. We have a code name for them. They're called headmaster husbands. They have no emotional intelligence. They are not made for marriage. They are made for war in the bush or something. So there's submit yourself one to another. The wife should ask you questions. Bro, you will save your life many times if you listen to your wife. I'm not talking about taking instructions from your wife. That's not what I said. I said if you listen to your wife, you will save yourself many times. The pride of it doesn't matter until it goes wrong and then, she told me, hey. But you don't learn from it because you keep repeating it. You're wasting family resources, family time and family energy and family emotions. You're wasting everything. It's a bad thing. Doesn't make you less than a man to sit with your wife and hear her opinion. Even times when she's not getting it perfectly, at least it gives you an opportunity to go over it step by step from the beginning. It's still an advantage. At least you checked it out again. You run a one-man army in your home. Get ready. Just that the problem is that when the suffering comes, it affects everybody. That's the only problem. If it was only you who will suffer, it's okay. Since you like to suffer, okay. Brother, long suffering. So submission number 2 says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands. So again, I said the word submission here is used specifically in reference to family, the family system. You probably won't have a problem if, and of course, the Bible even writes to servants how they should serve their masters. In the New Testament, it's there. But we struggle a lot with why? Because some people, activists or deactivists or whatever they are, have given a wrong definition to something that God said, and what they say the Bible says is not what the Bible truly says. Submit yourself to your own husbands as unto the Lord. That is powerful. Why? Number 1, a woman is adjustable. You see, you come into marriage with your dreams, your vision. The man has his dreams and vision. But you see, if this man is truly your man, it means his vision has the umbrella, has the accommodation enough to groom everything God has spoken to you. You can't change his vision because you are his wife. You are usurping. No, you don't do that. You don't change his vision. You don't control his vision. Don't forget, you are a helper. A helper. A helper. It means you're coming to work on something that already exists. That's why when you look at yourself and you don't have the skill set, in quote, and competencies and the spirit to believe in what you have met on ground in this man's life as far as vision and assignment, and you don't think that you would be proud to look up to him as your leader and serve him in peace, don't marry him. Because sometimes I wonder why you had to spend all that money, buy that beautiful flowing gown and throw them flowers all around and do all of those things, only to show up in his life and you don't believe in his leadership. You want to do what you feel like doing when you feel like doing it, and you want him to sit under your butt. Hey, ain't gonna work. That's an error. That's not God's order. If you want to excel in marriage, you must follow God's order. And like I said, submission doesn't make a woman inferior. It shows a woman her power. Because in submission, she knows where to function, how to function. She fits perfectly in a place. And remember, I said the woman is adjustable. So she wants to go to Australia. She had planned her life after university, NYSC. Then I'll go to Australia. I want to study in Sydney, or I want to study in Melbourne or somewhere. She had it all planned out. This is her, and everything. And she gets married to this guy. Australia. Strays away. Australia. Maybe no more Australia, or Australia can be now. Doesn't mean she's not going to get a master's or a PhD or something. There is an adjustment in her plan so that she can fit into her new place of primary assignment. Do you get the point? She's adjustable. She can adjust her vision to suit his life. She can adjust her plans to fit into his life. She's adjustable. So the submission there is not, look, the Bible says submit. Submit. Sit down there. Submit. No, that's not submission. That's terrorism. That's terrorism. They're terrorists. One of the worst things you can do to a woman, and I'm saying to you men, is to lift your hand and hit a woman. That's one of the weakest actions of a full-grown man. One of the weakest actions of a full-grown man is to lift up a hand against a woman. When wisdom fails, flesh begins to exert itself. I don't believe it. You that we see with designer shoes and suits, and at home, hey, are you drunk me? Wow! What? And then when you miss the first punch, you actually uppercut. You are wasting your talent because you don't get paid for this one. You need to go to the boxing federation. When you come back without 7 teeth, you will learn wisdom. Let me punching a woman. Look at you. Your children have begging, Daddy, please. And unfortunately, if the children have become corrupted with the entertainment, say, give him back. Yeah, Daddy. Yeah. Ah. Oh my God. My God. That's terrible. One of the greatest things you can ever do for your children is to love their mother. I'm telling you, that's one of the greatest investments. One of the greatest investments. Don't disappoint the hope that someone had when they said, I will leave my parents and stick with you forever. Don't disappoint it. So submission is not terror. Submission is recognizing the leadership of this person, believing in that leadership, and aligning yourself to the requirements of that leadership. While you supply either your ideas, you write in your memos, you give your observation, you give your contributions, but somehow he orders, he has been mandated by God to order that family. That's why a woman, make sure your man is sensible before you marry him. Don't marry and start trying to act like you are all knowing and he's all unknowing. How did you get there? How did you get there?